This podcast was recorded on the land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation.
Guys, it's always a pleasure.
Hey!
It's always a pleasure to have you with us for another week of Mad About You. Now, this week, Jad and I are going to talk about the saying of do opposites truly attract when it comes to relationships? Because we have a few mates that are dating at the moment and they're going through it with their adventure in finding a partner. So we wanted to chat about that and whether it can really work if you are truly, truly opposites. Now, our Ask Mum and Dad this week is also from a guy who wants to know about whether turbulent times in relationships mean that it's time to call it or if you can get through it, and has asked for a little bit of help with that. But before we get into our juice of this week, I wanted to tell you guys about a little story which actually comes from a close friend of mine. So I always like it when they're close to home because I can get plenty of details for you guys. So a friend of mine went on a date recently, and let me just say he's like so good at going on dates. Like, he really puts himself out there. Like, I'm not talking like
Such a good dater.
He's not like a serial womanizer, like goes on heaps of dates and sleeps with lots of women. Like, he's trying to find his person, but he's really trying. Like, he doesn't sit back and go, oh yeah, like I'm bored, I'll go on a date. Like, he tries to, if things aren't working, he tries to go on another date, and he's really looking. So he went on a date recently with this girl, and he said, the vibe was pretty good. She was nice. He was attracted to her. And he said, went on a date, took her out to dinner, and he goes, I paid for dinner.
Sure.
He goes, I like to do that, especially if I like the girl. Second date came along. He goes, we went out to dinner, and he goes, I offered to pay, and she said no. She said, no, I'd like to pay like you paid for the first one. He said, no worries, that's really lovely of you. And then he said after dinner, they left and they went to another bar and they had a cocktail together. So, they're obviously vibing. Went home, went to work that week, and he said, he started thinking about it, and he was like, I don't know if it's going to continue. I don't know if it's long term. He said he didn't really see it like as a romantic thing. He said they got along as friends, like they had good banter, but he said he didn't really see it in the romantic light. So got in touch with her and said, had a good time, but I see you more as a friend than romantically. And he actually said that she messaged back and she was like, yeah, no worries at all. Like, if it's not there, it's not there. And, I appreciate you letting me know. And she actually said, like, thank you for messaging me. And I thought that was nice, And then he said, after the fact, she sent through the receipt from the second dinner that she paid for with her bank details and asked if he could send her half the money for the bill.
What?
And he said to me, he goes, I thought that was really weird. He goes, I offered to pay and she rejected me and paid, like as in she wanted to pay. And he goes, also, I paid for the first dinner and the cocktails when we went out. So he goes, am I meant to send her the receipt of dinner one and the cocktails? And are we meant to just put everything down the middle? Like, so when she left the second date, she was happy that she paid and there was no dramas, but she wanted half the money back. And he said like, hey, let's not do this.
I hate to say it, but that's why he's single. Sorry.
What do you mean?
Who's doing that?
No one's going to find that out if they're still dating.
We found out. We're telling everyone now. We're telling thousands of people now that is crazy scenes behaviour.
I don't disagree. I just think like as an adult, I think it's probably not the right way to go.
It's weird because he grabbed the first one as well. If you grabbed both, maybe. Yeah,
it's going to leave maybe a little bit of a sour taste in his mouth instead of going like, oh, that chick was really lovely. And then, you know what, maybe you'd rethink and go a week down the line, I made the wrong decision there. Like, I want to go on another date with her. You're kind of like, well, that's weird behaviour.
Yeah,
like,
that is super weird behaviour.
And also, then it got me thinking, right, what if you went on like 10 more dates and then he called it off? Like, is she keeping receipts from every single thing that they do and then sending him like 5 bills?
She's
like,
invoicing him for her time.
Yeah, I don't get it, like, and I just thought to myself, you couldn't pay me to do that. If like some chick,
that's so.
I went on a couple of dates with her and then she brushed me. Like, you couldn't pay me to send her the bill for hanging out with me.
How is let's say, I don't know, $50 better than your pride?
Your dignity, yeah.
What?
Obviously, some people she wanted $50 for the next date, so she's not out of pocket.
That's weird.
And then he said that, he was like, I didn't really care, but, I just thought it was weird behavior.
Did he pay her?
Yeah, he paid her. He told me he paid her.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. But he said,
no.
He said, if you think about it, he goes, I offered to pay.
Yeah.
And he goes, And in the end, I only paid 50%. So he's like, I still saved 50% of the bill. But
weird,
he just
though.
thought it was weird that she offered. Like, she rejected his offer
Yeah.
and wanted to pay and then started to claw it back when he said, hey, this is not working. And he said it was also weird because her message was quite understanding. Like, she wasn't bitter. It wasn't like she didn't respond and just sent him the receipt and said, yeah, send me the cash, you know. He said that she was like, yeah, I totally understand. Like, if it's not there, you're there. And like, they had a little chit chat and then she did it, you know. So it seemed like it was amicable until she tried to get her, $47.80 back.
Yeah, no, that's strange to me.
So your message for the girlies, don't do this. Just cop the $50
Stick
loss.
to your word. I'll pay for dinner. Sweet as. Oh, jokes. Actually, I was conning you. I want you to pay half.
You know, I get that maybe you thought it was going well and, you know, he didn't. But, yeah, as you said, I don't think
we're not
$50
doing that.
is worth your dignity.
Sorry.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if ever you're in this situation,
No.
take the loss and
Yeah.
move on. Go pick up an extra hour or two at work,
Yeah.
make the $50 back and
It's not worth it.
and keep your dignity. All right, guys. Now, as Jad and I both have a few friends that are in the dating market still, they haven't found their one yet. We get a lot of stories from them after they go on dates, when they've been dating people for a little while.
We get to live
and-
through them.
Yeah. And honestly, they normally, I mean, you know, obviously you hear more of the not success stories than the success stories. So a lot of them often tell us that like, oh, you know, we didn't have the same interests or like, you know, I really like doing this and they don't like doing it at all. And it kind of got us thinking and we were like, Jad and I are quite polar opposites in heaps of things. And, you know,
What?
we work and, you know, it's the best relationship I've ever been in. And, you know, I'm in
Hope
love
so.
and it's my wife and, you know, we have a family and it's beautiful, you know, and there's so many things that are polar opposites. So there is the saying that opposites attract, and I truly believe that, but it seems that our friends kind of are wanting their partners to be almost like too similar to them. And I think that perhaps that's kind of, you know, might be what's inhibiting them from finding their true love. Because, you know, if for example, if they like going to the gym and they meet someone who doesn't like going to the gym, they just think that, oh, it can't work because, you know, I want to spend an hour a day at the gym and they won't want to do that with me. Therefore, you know, it's not going to work. And I just don't really see that as being the thing that holds relationships together. I think it's more, you know, your character, your ethics, your morals, and, you know, and the future you see for each other and what you want with whether it comes to family and kids or, you know, the values that you hold, not the activities that you like doing in your spare time.
You know what I find really interesting though, and I think a lot of people, this is where the opposites actually really clash, is when they're politically not aligned.
True, yeah.
Like I think a lot of people actually can't see past that.
Yeah. I don't disagree. And I've actually seen a few funny videos online where they ask that. They go like, would you rather date? And they give like a horrible option and then they're obviously at like a political rally.
Yeah.
Or they go like the other side of the you know, views that you hold and they go, oh, and they're really stumped and they, you know, it's like one option is horrible.
Yeah.
And then it's just like someone who has different political views to you. And they often choose the horrible thing because they can't fathom being. So yeah, I can understand that. But
there's a line, I think, for people.
that I also think is more understandable though. So if you came and you said like, look, I believe in X and Y and they really don't.
Because
I don't
often
see it moving.
It often aligns with your morals and your values, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
So then you'd
Politics.
kind of be saying, well, if you don't align with me there, like how are we going to be on the same page with all these other things?
Yeah, but I
So
do
opposites
see that.
attract in that aspect?
Surely, yeah, there are exceptions to the rule, but it doesn't. Wouldn't say it breaks the rule. But in my case, like, you know, we have things like, you know, for example, let's talk about what I just brought up, the gym, for example.
Yeah.
I love going to the gym.
Yes.
It's a passion hobby of mine for ages. When we met and you know, didn't want to come to the gym with me every day, I didn't go, oh, it's not going to work, you know, because that's nice time to enjoy by yourself, you know.
Sure.
Like I actually enjoy having that hour or hour and a half to myself where it's me time instead of like us time, you know.
I actually started going to the gym with you then. So was that disappointing for you?
It wasn't disappointing, but when you stopped coming, it was, you know, I was fine with it.
Yeah, I went for a while.
Yeah. And then what happened?
I go through ebbs and flows with the gym. Me and the gym, we don't have a good
Yeah, but that's okay
relationship.
that you don't like it.
We
You don't have
broke
to
up.
you don't have to pretend to like it.
I started going to
hang
yoga
out.
and then you guys made fun of me for my What
Yeah,
you
'cause
used
every
to say I
time-
would sleep in
Every
class.
time I looked into the class, everyone was just lying in a dark room, was staring
We
at the
were
ceiling
doing
with their
Shavasana.
eyes closed. Yeah, but you do that for an hour or what?
Shavasana, they say, is actually the hardest yoga pose because you have to be completely still. It's very hard.
They've really sold that, haven't they?
You can't.
Hey guys, come in this room, pay us $40 a session, and just close your eyes, have a nap.
I loved Shavasana.
That's incredible. Yeah, do that at home. You do it from like 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. every day. You're great at it.
Yeah, anyway, I agree. I don't think you need to necessarily have the exact same hobbies.
Yeah, but you like Pilates and yoga. I like training. But then we find things that we do enjoy together and we settle on like hikes and walking. Like we like, going on bushwalks or climbing mountain. Like we like doing that stuff together.
Do.
But it doesn't mean that I want to come to yoga with you and it doesn't mean that you want to come and lift weights with me.
Okay, what if there's a scenario where two people who get along really well quite literally have nothing in common to the point where they don't want to go for a walk together even. Like what they do in their spare time, in their free time, they actually want to do completely different things. Then what?
I guess you have to compromise at some point. You know what I mean? Like you started coming to the gym.
Yeah.
Which you didn't really love, I guess, because you stopped, and then you started going to yoga in the same gym. So it was still like time around each other, you know what I mean? But it's like if the person you're dating like really is enthralled by like film and TV and they want to watch, TV shows and movies every night and you don't want to do that, you really love literature and you want to read a book, it's like you can still lie on their lap and read your book while they watch something with headphones in. Like you can still find your...
with headphones, okay, yeah. I was going to say I can't read and listen to something at the same time. Bloody nightmare.
Who's trying to do that?
Overstimulated. No, you said headphones. Didn't realize you were going to say headphones.
So as in, I guess, you compromise and you find your little ways. But we have so many things that are just dire opposites.
Is there one thing one thing that's ever been something that you've gone, I really wish we could do that together, or I really wish we had that in common?
No, but I think there was something that you thought that about us.
I've got a few. Yeah.
Well, let me guess one. I remember when we first started dating, you always would want to go like, I want to go out and have a drink and dance, and like I want to go out and like dance with you and drink and stuff. And I was like, oh, no thanks. One, I can't dance to save my life. I literally can't move. I don't know what it is.
I know.
I didn't get that gene.
No.
But
we did figure out the other day that you have rhythm. We discovered that.
Yeah.
Because I had a fear that Locke he couldn't hear rhythm like a beat.
She tested
to a
me. There was a song playing. She goes, Locke, I want you to click to the beat.
I honestly
and I was like,
did.
What's happening? Is this like preschool? Or?
He got it right though. I was expecting him to fully miss the mark, but he actually clicked on the beat. And then I thought, well, if you can do that, why can't you move your feet to the same? Because whenever his feet start moving, God bless you. I don't know what you're hearing.
That's like me saying, if you can dribble a basketball, why can't you dunk it?
No, it's not.
What, so I can click to a beat, therefore I should be able to move like Michael Jackson?
No, it's like saying if you can move your hand up and down, why can't you do the basketball?
Do the basketball. It sounds like you'd struggle, actually, just from that sentence alone.
If you guys are watching, if you can see.
Yeah.
There's an action.
No, but is that correct in thinking that that's something that you really wanted to do when we first started dating? You'd always say to me like, I really want to go out and have a boogie and a drink. I didn't, I worked. I didn't want to do that.
I really wanted, it was also that like, I really wanted to go to like a bar with you and then have a night out where we'd end up having a dance somewhere together, just you and I. Because I do love going for a dance and I love music and I love like atmosphere. Like I'm one of those people who I like being wherever the bustle is, like I find that really fun. So
I hate crowds.
Yeah, well, there you go. So whereas Locke and I are very much opposites on that end. Like he doesn't care for a drink. He never wanted to go and have a couple of cocktails together. Like it was one thing enough to get him to a restaurant. Like he very happy to sit at home and have tuna out of a can every night. That's his dream.
Well, let's speak about restaurants then, because that's actually one that I thought about, is that we're polar opposites in that sense, that you like, as you said, I like vibe and I like, the interiors of places. So you like fine dining, just nice restaurants. You like nice restaurants, but fine dining. I don't think I've ever left a fine dining restaurant full. So like the difference there is she likes fine dining and I like being full after a meal.
Locke hates a degustation.
What is the point? 10 bites and nothing.
But I love I love experiencing new flavors and new experiences, and like I would love to sit down and have a 10-course meal with a drink pairing. That's Locke's idea of a nightmare.
I love how you say, I like all these new experiences. Check your Uber Eats record, mate. You eat the same thing every time.
I'm not doing a degustation with my comfort meal after the bath.
Yeah.
I want something that's predictable and it arrives nice and warm every time.
Okay. But I'm saying that is something that we get over, right? Like as in sometimes I'll just come with you to a restaurant. I won't want to.
I know, but I can tell.
And I'll be starving afterwards.
Yeah, I know.
I'll need to get like a burger on the way home.
Afterwards,
or stop at Woolies and pick up a roast chicken.
We've actually often gone to a nice dinner and then he's had a second dinner afterwards.
100%.
No, which I do agree with you. Sorry, if you're paying $100 for a meal, it should fill you up. I agree. That's ridiculous. We need to cut the crap. And if you're not if the meal that
you're lucky to get 2 burgers and chips at Grilled for $100 these days.
If the meal a head, like we're talking, it's a very XC restaurant.
Oh.
If you're not full by the end of the meal, someone should come out and go, "Sir, are you full?" And you go, "You know what? No." And they go, "No worries. You want a burger and chips?" And you go, "Yes." And every time you'd leave the restaurant, you'd go, "I'm happy. That was great."
Even just give me some more bread.
Yeah,
restaurant bread.
Locke always asks for more bread. He asks for like 4 different baskets of bread.
Yeah,
by
sometimes
the end
I need to eat a loaf at the restaurants we go to just to be full.
Yeah.
But that's fair. Sometimes I go with you, and then also it's fine. Like I go, if you want to go do that, like go with a girlfriend that like also enjoys it. And,
but I want to go with you. That's the hard part. Like I want to be with my partner and be on a nice date and like have the fun time with you. You know what really one thing that when we don't agree on that has actually genuinely really bugged me throughout the duration of our relationship, Locke doesn't like Italian food. Italian food. Who doesn't like pizza and pasta?
I wouldn't say I don't like it. I would just never choose it. Like I never want to go there. I'd always want to go somewhere else.
And it's one of my favorite cuisines. So whenever we go to a restaurant, I have to veto the Italian almost immediately because I know Locke's not going to have a good time.
That's a bit of a stretch.
When was the last time we went to Italian?
I cannot wait. I am so glad you asked.
No, I know what you're going to say.
When we went on that walk recently,
and we ended up and we had the pasta. It was horrible. Yeah. Horrible pasta because we wandered into a place.
That helps my argument of not wanting Italian food.
Because we wandered in because it was just on a whim. Whereas if we booked a dinner, I'm not going to book an Italian restaurant knowing you don't like it.
I told you as we walked past, I said, this is my mum's favourite Italian restaurant and she's liked it for decades. So there wasn't a whim. And then you were like, oh, will you eat pizza and pasta, Bubby? And I went, yeah, mate, I guess. All right, here's your day.
But here's my point.
And then we had it. And mine was actually pretty decent. And yours, you complained about the whole time. So I don't really think that that's a fair argument.
Okay.
Also, Jad's idea of Italian is ordering a crust pizza at 10:30 p.m. after a couple of cocktails.
You're so full of it. That is not true. I love a good Italian, but there's so many amazing Italian restaurants in Sydney that I've wanted to explore. And whenever we go to book a restaurant, especially now that we have Fletcher, and it's very rare for us, I don't think we actually haven't even booked.
I was going to say, when do we book a restaurant?
We have not booked a dinner in the past 5 months. But if we did, I wouldn't pick Italian knowing that it's so rare that I want you to enjoy the experience too.
I appreciate that. That's really kind of you. And that's what you do in a relationship.
It's been really
that's
hard
compromising.
for me.
But that's like me going, like another polar opposite of ours is fashion. Like you really like putting together cool outfits and like looking nice. I couldn't give 2, S words.
I know.
So, don't say it like that. But I'm just saying,
I have to dress you
my
half
compromise
the time.
is that I try and wear things that I think you'll like because, I like when you go like, oh, I really like you in denim or something, where you wear a denim jacket. So as in, I don't wear what I'd want to wear, which is just like grey sweatshorts and a t-shirt with a hole in it.
You literally wear that 90% of the time.
Yeah, pajamas doesn't count. But when we go out or do something, like I try and look nice or respectable for you. So that's just the same, right?
But answer me this. Do you not feel good sometimes when you put an outfit on that you're proud of?
I've never been proud
yes,
of an outfit.
I see the little glimmer in your eye.
No.
When you've done your little colour coordination, you've done well, and I say, you know what, sweetheart, that's a great outfit, and you go,
yeah, because I'm just happy that you like it. I'm like, oh, great, I flew this.
Yeah, but I can tell you feel more confident sometimes.
The only thing I would say I put on that makes me actually genuinely feel confident is a suit. Like putting on a suit, I feel good. I feel like
I'm disagreeing with you. I see that you feel good when you put certain outfits on.
How can you disagree with my feelings?
Because your shoulders go back a bit, like you just walk a bit taller. You look happier.
So when you come to me tomorrow and you go, sweetie, I'm feeling really stressed and sad, I can go, well, you're not, so don't worry about it.
You do look good in a suit, though. The other thing that's really kind of bothered me.
Wait, it doesn't have to bother you. I'm
No,
saying
but it
opposites
has,
attract. I'm
because-
saying you're
no,
still attracted to
Because
me.
we're so opposites on this that it's not even funny, but it's really bothered me is that when I imagined myself with my future partner, it was always like we were in the car jamming out together. We'd have music playing at home, dancing around the house together, or just bopping along, singing the same words. Locke and I have complete opposite taste in music.
And how has that ever negatively affected you?
I just told you we're never jamming out in the car together.
No. You're jamming out in the car together. Never once have we gone on a car trip and I've just like been able to put on anything that I want to listen to. We always just get stuck listening to what you want.
Because there's like 3 songs in your repertoire that you enjoy. It's 7 Years, which if you guys don't know.
Producers losing their marbles. It's a great song. I'm not really sure why everyone's laughing.
it's what I'm trying to sing.
His
it.
name's
Hang on.
Lucas Graham.
What?
He's the man. I don't know why. Why is that so funny? Why are you guys laughing at a great artist?
People who listen to music regularly, not many people would choose to put this song on. I'm really glad you like it. It's very nice. But for like 2 years straight, it was the only thing he'd put on and listen to. So it was
No, that's just a running joke. It's not the only thing I'd listen to, but I like acoustic music and I like voices. Like I really like voices and I like songs that tell stories. So
Yes,
I like
that's the thing.
Dermot
So-
Kennedy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas Jad likes listening to like TikTok artists
No.
that talk about like twerking and stuff.
That is so you're full of crap. I love like old school Justin Timberlake. I love R&B, like all that old jams that Locke just sometimes gets into. Like we had 50 Cent on the other day and he actually knew more of the words than I did, which impressed me. But a lot of the music that I put on, he couldn't jam out to and he wouldn't understand. Or like house music. I went through a housey phase. He didn't like any of that. There's like 2 genres that we actually
Country.
that we both like right now. It's like country or like country-ish acoustic and classical music.
Yeah, true. But we also had that one moment where when we were traveling through Italy and we were doing a road trip and I put on the OC soundtrack.
Yeah, that too. I liked that.
And I was just like, this is really
Like
nostalgic for me.
indie rock.
Yeah, and you really like that.
I did enjoy that.
So you're lying to the people.
No, but that took a few years, right? Before then it was 7 Years or Eminem.
Oh, Eminem's the GOAT.
See, you don't put Eminem on to jam in the car. Like that is not, it's like you
Why
put
not?
Eminem on to be in your feels or pretend that you're 14 again.
You're disrespecting the greatest rapper of all time. And let me tell you, I don't appreciate it. And neither will you.
So, but you're not going to put Eminem on to like clean the house at home together.
We could. We could give it a crack.
That sounds awful. In terms of being opposites, like could not be more opposites there. And I really did imagine myself enjoying the same music as my partner. I thought it would just happen naturally.
So you put on classical, country, or the OC.
Yeah, but sometimes I want to put on the other stuff, like Harry Styles.
Yeah, but just enjoy that in your own time.
I do all the
Awesome.
time.
Settled.
It's great.
All right, guys, I reckon I have one more gripe with Jad. And I'm just going to say gripe now, even though it's not a gripe, because mine
turned
were all
into
like,
gripes.
oh, we're opposite, and that actually brings us together. And Jad's like, this thing really bothers me about you. I'm like, oh, it's not really what this is about, but sure.
No, we haven't actually spoken about how the opposites work, though.
Well, it's because we balance each other out. So, for example, I reckon I'm pretty like, straighty 180. I'm pretty regimented and structured, and I'm, you're a bit
Analytical and
sure.
logical.
Yeah, but you're a little bit more like go with the flow and let things happen and like
Yeah.
we'll be okay and don't worry. And that I think that's a
mentality.
polar opposite with us, right? Like as in
Yeah.
but it helps balance us out. So
Absolutely. I've made you more free and you've made me more
anal.
not anal. No, but you've made me reconsider or put more thought into things sometimes.
Exactly. But that's a good balancing act, right? So that's
Yeah,
like
I
polar
agree.
opposites and opposites attracting
We're
and
like
them
yin.
helping.
We're like a yin yang.
Sure.
There's
beautiful.
black and white, right? And they go together like 2 puzzle pieces, and then there's a bit of us in one another.
Yeah. When you say make a reference like yin yang, you don't actually need to then explain it. People know.
People
what it
might
is.
know.
Sure.
They might only know the Yin Yang
Give them
twins
a bit of credit.
from that song.
You can play that at home. I'll listen to that.
I'm not going to sing the rest, but you guys know the Whisper song.
And last one that I don't really have a gripe with, but, I'll pretend like I do. But you're a spender. I'm a saver. So, what a good opposite as well. As in, I help us save, you help us waste
I do
our
both.
money.
I spend, but, I save too. But, I'm not spending to the point where the paycheck's coming around and I'm like, yes, But I do think that life is there to be lived. And, if I die one day and I haven't done things.
Sure. Have 50 new Christmas decorations every year.
Well, yeah, that makes me happy though.
Yeah, but I'm saying when it comes to opposites attracting, right? Imagine we had all these conversations on our first date, second date, third date.
Yeah.
And then we just went, sack that off.
Yeah,
we're at
so
opposite ends of the
true.
spectrum with things. But that's not the reality. So I think when you're dating people, I think you need to look at it through a different lens of perhaps their opposite is what's going to sort of ground me a little bit or help balance me out and turn me into, maybe a better version of myself, by giving me a little bit of something that I didn't have or teach me to look at life, in a different way, which is, what you've done with me in plenty of ways. And, I'd like to think maybe I've done with you in a couple of ways. So
you got to give it a chance before you veto it if you guys aren't necessarily haven't got a lot in common to begin with. But yeah, give it a go. If you're jamming, see where it leads you. And hopefully you can have a dance together and listen to the same music.
Listen to only one person's music. Yeah. And only eat at one person's restaurant and they dress you. It's love. It's love. I'll tell you that. It's beautiful. Now, with our Ask Mum and Dad segment, please feel free to DM or send them in to us because we always love to hear from you and we always pick the best ones for the pod. So you can do that by writing into us at madaboutyou@novapodcast.com.au. Now, I do have one from a gentleman, which I really like to get because I think we do get more questions from the girlies. But this one said, "Hey, Lachie, anonymous would be ideal for this and maybe a bit too deep, but looking for some reassurance from a couple we look up to," which I thought was really nice. But then also saying maybe it's too deep. No, there's nothing too deep for the pod, man.
No.
So send it through and never fear because we always take your questions seriously. So it says, "My girlfriend and I have been dating for 2.5 years now and love each other dearly. We have every intention to spend and build our life together. We are now, however, experiencing a very confusing time where we're coming out of the honeymoon stage into a bit of a reality stage. The effort is still most definitely there, but it just feels strange and feeling we haven't experienced together before. I trust that not all relationships are perfect all the time and was hoping you can maybe explain if you and Jad have experienced this and how you personally worked through a lull stage like this. You mentioned in a previous pod that the dating is so accessible that it's normal for people to break up at this point and restart the honeymoon stage with someone new. However, as mentioned, we have the will and want to be with each other indefinitely."
Oh, that's nice and very mature of him. Do you think we've gone through a... Your face.
Mate, if I told this guy how often, you'd be feeling fine.
Your face. Yeah, but, the end of a honeymoon phase, that's a real thing.
Yeah, I think with each new phase that you step into in a relationship, as he said, the reality kicks in, right? So it's whether you're in your little secret phase at the beginning and everything's new and exciting and you're keeping it from some people, and then maybe you invite them into your friendship circle and things gets real, and then you invite them in to meet your families and things get more real, and then, more conversations open up and someone might say something that you don't like a friend or family member, and you have to address it, as in there's always going to be things that go wrong and issues that happen. But I think that from the sound of things, as you said, it sounds like a really nice, mature outlook to have and understanding that, lulls and these stages happen. But
it's so normal.
They definitely happen in relationships. And, Jad and I have experienced one recently with our son coming along because, we went from spending every moment together and having as much time as we wanted to sink into each other, and then suddenly your life flips on its head and you're stuck and you have to navigate this new little life who, solely relies on you, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you also want your partner to be okay. And so normally your way of making sure that happens is by, taking the little one away from them to give them some rest time, and then they do that for you, and you kind of living separate lives but together.
Yeah,
And, you know,
so
that's
true.
this new thing to navigate. And I don't think many people speak about that. It's like
Yeah.
when it comes to pregnancy and starting a family, is like how much you're actually going to miss your partner, you know? And I don't think that's really spoken about. And you have to really put effort into building that relationship again and making sure that you don't forget about each other, and, you know, and you argue and you fight because you're often tired and exhausted and they're the only person in front of you. So your frustration gets taken out on them.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just how it goes. But I think in terms of having your like first real end to a honeymoon phase, that one's always a bit, I think, jarring because it's like you're really discovering who each other is. And yeah, you might be seeing a side of them that you don't necessarily like, or you might be putting your guard down a little bit, and maybe they're kind of expressing views of things that, you know, are directed at you, or things that they don't like about what you're doing, or, you know, you've started with the little things like, oh, don't put that there, or, you know, like, oh, can you put this away here, or hey, your towel's on the floor.
Sorry, I just felt like I was at home.
Your towel's on the floor again, or yeah, I still need to remind Locke to do things with his towels, so that never ends. But look, that first kind of end to your honeymoon phase is, I think, it's a test to your relationship and also an opportunity to really be yourself and show each other who you are, and also like kind of accept that this is a part of like living with someone who isn't yourself, you know? I think what helps me at times is, or has in the past, is thinking if I lived with my best friend or, you know, even a sibling or a parent, you would have conflict with them as well. You would have conflict with anyone you lived with, right? Like you can't expect to live with someone with, you know, and spend every waking minute together and not have that ever happen, not ever butt heads, not have things that you disagree on. Like every person is so different, even when you have so much in common. So just know that it's completely normal, and you don't need to run for the hills straight away because things are getting a little bit, you know, maybe perhaps a bit rough. And just remember why you guys fell for each other in the first place, and that that's still there, and that, you know, the dust will settle and then you'll find your groove and it'll be really nice because you'll feel more vulnerable around them. And I think that's really beautiful, actually.
Yeah, and I think the honeymoon period, literally, you know, as it is meant to be, it's all the fun things, you know what I mean? So it would be the hanging out on the weekends, going out to dinners, like sleepovers for the first times. But when you, as you said, the realities kick in, it's like, well, life's not all fun and games, you know? So sometimes there's serious moments, and sometimes there's things that you have to deal with together as a couple, whether that's, you know, moving in together and realizing like, oh, we now need to talk about money and finances because we need to split bills and like what's fair and what's equal and what's not. And you make more money than me and I make less. So should we contribute different? You know, there's all these conversations, and that's when things get tricky. But yeah, I think that it's very normal. I think you have a very nice, mature outlook to it. And I think that, you know, you said you want to make it work. So I'm sure you will. And just know that every little hiccup that you go over and that you get over, it actually, you know, it's like it strengthens you as a couple. So yeah, when you get past something tough, and you come out the other side, and, you know, perhaps you learn how to communicate better, or you learn something new about your partner, and it's something that you can keep in mind in the future. I think it's always a good thing that benefits you in a relationship. So yeah, hard times don't always have to be looked at in a negative way. They're often building blocks for like a stronger foundation. So hang in there, and all the best to you and your partner. It sound like you guys are destined to be together.
You've got it. Just hit it head on and be open and honest with one another, and you'll be fine.
And remember, sometimes opposites attract.
Well, often.
Guys, thank you once again. We always appreciate you checking in and listening. Another week done and dusted. And if you did want to leave us a review, we appreciate that.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon.
See ya.
Bye.